Hi, I'm Elena Mangum, the Literacy and Learning Specialist at the Center for Development and Learning. And today's Science of Reading tidbit, we're going to be going over Ehri's phases of word development. At the Center for Development and Learning, we're a premier thought leader in Louisiana with over 25 years of experience. We also hold a national literacy conference called Plain Talk. Our mission is to improve the life chances of all children, especially those at high risk, by increasing school success. Our purpose is to achieve equity in education and close the opportunity gap for high-risk youth. And our belief is that all children, regardless of how they look, where they come from, or how they learn, can and will achieve school success. We really focus in on closing that achievement gap with the science of reading. So Lene Ehri has phases of word development. So this is the overview of each phase. There is a pre-alphabetic, a partial alphabetic, full alphabetic, and a consolidated alphabetic. We're going to take a few minutes and go through each phase so you get a better idea of where your students are falling into place. This is the pre-alphabetic phase. So although the pre-alphabetic phase sounds as though it relates to a time that's prior to learning the alphabet, it's actually something entirely different. So this phase pertains to a child's ability to use clues in order to recall or remember words. So I'm sure a lot of you parents out there have seen this book, First 100 Words for a Baby. So they're using picture clues. Everyone is very familiar with the golden arches, and they know before reading that that stands for McDonald's. And my boys, they definitely know that if they see this sign, it's Hobby Lobby. Students might also look at this word yellow and start recognizing, well, they see two long lines next to each other. If we took away the picture clues, if we took away the golden arches and just showed a child the word McDonald's, they wouldn't be able to recognize that word without the logo. So same as a lot of these first 100 words, if we took away the picture, children would not be able to know that word without that picture, that logo. This is early kindergarten. In the partial alphabetic phase, this is where students are going to recognize some letter names, some letter sounds, and it requires simple phonology to learn sounds. Recognizing words for a novice reader is difficult. So if a child is in the partial alphabetic phase, the job starts becoming a little easier. Children in this phase are more inclined to recall more sight words. And although they're not skilled readers, their understanding of language and written words are starting to connect more and more. So kids normally use first letter sound and context to guess. We want to make sure we are reinforcing letter sound knowledge. And when I talk about that students are inclined to recall more sight words, this is not flashing words for them to memorize. This is where these words are starting to get stored, and that code, that alphabetic code, is starting to get stored in their brain. In the full alphabetic phase, we're really looking at strengthening phonemic awareness, letter sounds. Students are sounding out systematically and explicitly. They're writing words to help them shift from that short-term memory to long-term memory. And so here are a few exercises at the bottom. So you could even try to begin writing with words and having them draw pictures so they can understand what each word means. Students in this phase are really attending to the sounds and letters, all sounds and all letters. And students have working knowledge of most of that sound correspondence. So when I say sound correspondence, they are knowing and understanding that a certain letter makes a sound. So that grapheme, that letter, makes a sound, a phoneme. What's really neat about the full alphabetic phase is that this is kind of that literary maturity for an individual child. So students not only recall words because they're familiar, but they're understanding how the various phonemes, those sounds, and the graphemes, those letters, are how they're sounding when they're placed together. That could also include vowels or consonants, blended consonants. The brain has placed many of these patterns, words and sounds, into a child's long-term memory. This is late kindergarten to early first grade. I have a little yellow car here in the corner just to kind of remember and to remind you that this is like that driving force. This is really where you see that change of that student of understanding how those various phonemes work together. In the consolidated alphabetic phase, this is where you consolidate knowledge of phonemes and graphemes to blend and read reoccurring words. This is where students are getting strong in orthographic mapping, where they're really digging into advanced phonological skills. And this is where a teacher is working on advanced phonics skills such as decoding, base word, endings, word families, and compound words. Students are really remembering between multi-letter units and syllabic units. Students start chunking to decode rather than looking at individual phonemes. So for instance, if I gave you the example cat, students are at that stage are looking at, partial alphabetic stage, they might be looking at the C, the K, and the T at the end. And when they get to full alphabetic, they're looking at sounds, K, at. When they move into consolidated, they're starting to read more of those syllabic units. So giving that example of crate, they know that that C and R, cur, are blended together. It's also including consonant blends, digraphs. It could be vowel teams, syllables, and morphemes. This typically begins in second grade and continues. Each stage in Ehri's phases of word development continue to add knowledge about graphemes and phonemes. What I've done before with a group of teachers is we took a classroom, and when we started with our small group instruction, we placed kids, their little names on Post-its, and we put a Post-it where each child fell during this phase. Were they pre-alphabetic? Were they partial, full alphabetic, consolidated? And we did that for reading. Then we took the same chart and we made Post-its in a different color, and we put the student's name in responding to writing. Really, they're going to match up, but it was a great conversation to start with teachers. If we thought a child was maybe in partial alphabetic for reading, but they were in full alphabetic for writing. So it opens up for some great conversations to see if it's matching. And also, you could even do this across your school or across a grade level of taking the phases of word development to see where your students are falling in reading and or writing. I hope you enjoyed today's Science of Reading tidbit. Let's stay connected. Email me with any questions or topics you would like to learn more about. My email address is elena@cdl.org. Remember to like and follow us on social media, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube.